and welcome to Photowrk. I'm Mylan. We have Shannon again.
Hi.
On this episode, we have part 2 of our interview with celebrity and food photographer Josh Tejas.
And in this episode, he finishes up his David Lynch story, which was kind of a cliffhanger from episode 1. Go check that out if you haven't yet. And he connects that David Lynch story to a recent shoot with actor Bill Hader.
He also gives us tips for beginners as well as how to stand out in the industry. So stick around and enjoy.
I did maybe one of the most meaningful to me. It's recent, so it's fresh. So obviously, like, you see things through, like, what is that called? Like rose-colored glasses or something like that. Mm-hmm. But one of the more meaningful shoots to me, it was just for a tiny little editorial thing. It didn't really have any, like, significance, but how it was handled was amazing. And I have to thank David Lynch a little bit for it because I like to do research on my subjects a little bit just to see if there's any subtle concepts that we can kind of throw in there. Like maybe he had this weird quirk as a kid and we can kind of, bring it back around or something like that. But so I'm researching Bill Hader before, and I don't know where it came up, but there was like a little note that said that he suffers from anxiety, and he's suffered from anxiety for his whole life. And I thought, that's crazy. To think about that, like, you're an actor, you're all this stuff. Like, how do you even function if you're like debilitating panic attacks? How do you function every night? And he, so I saw that, and so I was like, well, I think that's very real, and I can relate to him with anxiety. So I'd like to kind of get into that, like, that world. And so I started researching it more, and he credits a lot of his success in remedying his anxiety with transcendental meditation, which is preached, and what he learned it from was David Lynch. Oh. So yeah, David Lynch is a huge advocate for transcendental meditation, and he offered, I don't know if it was directly or indirectly or if he just stumbled upon it, but he offered Bill this like solace for his anxiety, which was cool. I appreciate that. And so Bill also said in some interview somewhere that he was a huge fan of David Lynch, which is probably how he stumbled upon transcendental meditation. And so because I'd worked with him a few times, I made Bill this 11 by 14 black and white print of David Lynch, the whole thing, signed it, packaged it up, and then Bill shows up, and I've never spoken with him before, and he shows up for like grooming, which is like very minimal, and like he's just wearing like a button-up shirt. And I walk into the thing, and I said, "Hey, Bill, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Josh." He was super kind. He introduced himself back. I said, "I know that you're a big David Lynch fan. I made this for you. You can open it now, or you don't have to." He's like, "Oh yeah," and so he rips it open, and it's David Lynch's face, just in the sharpest photo, like crazy, intimidating David Lynch photo. And he was really appreciative of that, and I think that kind of set us into like a good trust there, that like we both had this like appreciation for David and his values and how he holds himself and like all these things. So it set us up for a good shoot. And just so it's not just hanging, we did this shoot. I asked him, I said, we can do 2 things. We can do like, I said, Bill, can I talk to you a little bit about concepts while you're sitting in the chair? He goes, yeah. So we can do 1 of 2 things. We can do the normal press thing. You've done it 1,000 times. You're good at it. Obviously, that's serving this purpose for the show Barry and like all these things. Like, we can do that. No problem. We have beautiful lights set up in there already. You can walk in, we can do that. So, but I figure we can do something a little bit more important. And I wanted to let you know that I'm a huge fan of your advocacy for people seeking help for anxiety and you being so open about it. And I think that using your platform for that is a really beautiful thing. So without exploiting it, because I would never want to do that, I was curious if we can dive into that world a little bit. If you can show me a visual representation of what that feels like when you're going through that anxiety. I said, I know it's weird because you're now preaching how you got out of it, but I think it would be interesting to kind of capture that moment, if it's possible. He looks at me and he goes, "Oh yeah." Like I asked him like a tough question. Like that's a tough thing to ask somebody spur of the moment. We'd never met before. We never talked before. And I'm asking you to be like that vulnerable. And he goes, I said, think about it. I'm good with either one. Once you come up with an answer, I'll be in the studio. Let me know. And he walks in about 10 minutes later, and he's like, got this like fire in him. He's like, I think I got it. I think I know what it feels, what we can do, but let me tell you what it feels like. And he goes, it feels like nobody else can exist. Like I'm like all it is, it's my front of my head, and everything else falls out of focus, and it's like nothing else exists. He said, so I said, so we shoot something really, really shallow depth of field. So we only see your eyes and everything goes out of focus. He goes, yeah, and what if we saw like the set in the background? So it looks like I'm like, he goes, because these moments happen before, right before I'm about to go on. So I see the set, or I'm in front of the set, but I'm feeling so anxious. So I said, okay, give us about 10 minutes to re-rig, because we're not set for that, but we will be, because I care more about this than anything I was ever going to do with like pretty lighting. So he goes, oh, cool. I actually just got this camera and I'm directing, I'm producing. So like, I'm trying to like really refine this eye and everything. So I just got this camera. Do you mind if I shoot like BTS while you guys re-rig? I was like, sure, man. Like, that's fine. And then, so he walks back in, or we set up, and I say, okay, Bill, we're ready. And I have him send this album box, and like what he gave for the next, like, I think we only shot for like 10 minutes, maybe, I think it was 10 minutes. And we had time. We had like 40 minutes that we could have used. And for 10 minutes, he just went all out and like gave us like, I was expecting maybe something a little bit more theatrical, like a really like personified version of like what anxiety feels like, you know, like stretching your face or like, like, and that wasn't the case. And I love it 1,000 times more than I could have directed, or he just killed it for like 10 minutes of just in his, you could see it in his skin. You could see it in his eyes. And it was, I don't know, it's very meaningful to me now, because I realized that that's a story I want to tell with people and have with people. It's obviously it's not going to happen like that all the time. It's just not realistic. But yeah, no, I at the end of it, I just thanked him, and I said, I appreciate you letting us be vulnerable there, because it's important. But yeah, big shout out to David Lynch for Transcendental Meditation and for encouraging people to focus on their mental health a little bit.
Wow.
Boom. That's it. No.
See you guys.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Dang.
You can see the real, like, you keep mentioning truth, and you definitely see that. People go look at Josh's Instagram and find Bill Hader's photo, and it's so real. Like, if you have anxiety, that image of him is so real. Like, you can feel that.
Yeah, I mean, like we keep noting on this, it's true. Mm-hmm. It's true. Anything more theatrical about that moment or staged or directed would have been fake. Mm-hmm. That's how he felt. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a different type of celebrity photography. We're not trying to say anything other than like the truth of somebody. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
And it makes the images last. You know, the images aren't just fleeting.
They're more timeless.
They're timeless.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has an appreciation for a timeless image. Mm-hmm. You know, when you look at, that was something so beautiful. I mean, and that's also like, really the concepts and like the style of the portraits I take are a product of having to be low maintenance and bringing, so much of my stuff is on a backdrop or a canvas backdrop or like a seamless, because I have 5 minutes with this person and it's at a press, it's not at a press junket, it's at a release or something like that, and we have like this like closet, and they actually don't want to do photos, but like I'm there to shoot this, so I'm like, hey, like let's do a portrait. I need a moment with this guy. For this to mean anything to me, like I need a moment with this person. And so, especially in the early days, that's a lot what it was, like just bringing up a white V flat, so black and white on either side. And so that's why, you know, it's more of just like circumstantial. That's the only way I could get content in the beginning, was to do that. But I mean, look at Richard Avedon. He did that for a living, for a career. That his On White is so emotional. It's so powerful. It's so great because, and I guess the word that I've been trying to circle back to is timeless. The second you kind of put them in like a set with a show and key art and like all these things, it's like it's dated. You put in props and things like that, it can be dated.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, but it can be. I think a lot of people do timeless portraits really well, especially because canvas and people that make canvases and things like that like are abundant right now. I get my canvases from a guy in Serbia. His name's Milan at the company's Unique Backdrops.
This guy.
That's how you say my name.
It's from this guy right here. No.
So he's awesome. He's incredible. He's a good photographer. But he makes beautiful backdrops and they're cheap, and he ships them to him and he makes them custom, like all these things. So like they're just readily available now, where it used to be like you had to rent from Oliphant or Schmidley, and like there goes your entire rate because they're so expensive. They're beautiful and they're worth it. Like I get it. I advocate for them all the time, but like people can create timeless things because the resources and the knowledge of it is abundant right now, and I like that. I think that's great. A lot of things made me want to become a photographer. The biggest one, and I kind of said it a little bit earlier, and it's not literal because I care about a lot of things, but really like, it's like the only thing that I'm interested in, that I care about. Like I love sports. I love all these things. Like life is awesome. It's full of amazing things, but like photography, like every time I look at anything, I'm like thinking of a moment, which is probably frustrating for my friends or people that I'm just we'll be walking down. I may have just met this person. We're walking down the street and I see this like beautiful Gap ad or something like that. The lighting's perfect, and I look at it. I go, dude, do you see this? And we have to stop at every newsstand, and we got to stop at every little thing. And it's just because I think that as a photographer, we see the world. We have the opportunity to see a world in just like a very specific, more in-depth, not always, but more in-depth view. And, I don't know, if the world was going to end in 2 days, would you go to work tomorrow is like the question, would you go to work? And there's baristas that would definitely serve coffee tomorrow, knowing full on the world was going to end tomorrow. And there's servers that would go because they're passionate about that. Like I would shoot a roll of film that I knew nobody would see, that would never be developed, nothing, because I love the moments that it creates. Even the moments with like, if nobody ever sees the photo, like you still have this device that makes people get close to each other and like do something and be active with each other. And like, not always, obviously there's introspective moments with singles and things like that, but like every time a group of friends gets together and says like, let's take a photo, it's like at that point, like the catalyst for that is a camera and a photo. So like, I don't know, I'm just like so amped on people, and I think that's a great medium to connect and capture. Yeah.
Being an introvert.
Yeah, so yeah, that's an interesting story with the introvert thing. I just, you love, I genuinely think that it's that the fact that I do invest so much of myself into other people. I want to help everybody. I'm at a store and somebody asks a question. I don't even work there. And like I'm at a store and somebody asks, or is like they look lost at a store that I don't even work at, and I'm like, hey, can I help you with something? Like I just want to help people and be there for them and interact with people as much as I can on like a deep level, and like all these things that like it does take it out of you. So like you need that little break, and I think that that's where it's like, for lack of a better sense, like I feel like I'm on all the time, but not on, like I'm not turning something on, like I'm just genuinely passionate about it, but it's almost like you need that little recharge. I think that's where the introvert personality comes through. It's like, all right, that was amazing, that was awesome, but like I need a breath. I need a breath to just like think about it all. So I mean, I don't know, you take in things heavily sometimes. Even if it's like a good, fun experience, like, I don't know, I'm a pretty emotional guy. Like, I experience something and then I just have to think about it for a while, and I'll think about it for like the next 2 days randomly. And as it starts to dissipate, it'll pop up again. And you're just like, and those moments are hard to you have an appreciation for those moments and they're hard to do when you're around a bunch of people. So the introvert nature is more so of like a byproduct of trying and really loving people and trying to invest in people as much as possible.
How does one rise above all the noise and all the competition in this industry?
I love this question because I love this question. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. That's the perfect answer that you could ever, like, it's the only thing. It's not a competition. That's how you fail in this industry, is if you're competing with people. My success does not directly mean your downfall. And your success, even if we're going for the same exact job, and we have a similar portfolio and they choose you over me, your success does not mean my downfall. It's amazing. And I'm so happy and thankful that you have that opportunity, because just like you guys, I mean, you guys are working on something every single day. Like, all of us as photographers and creatives and anything, like, we all know how much hard work goes into it. Not always, but rule of thumb, like, we all know how much hard work goes into this. And so the second you treat it as a competition, I mean, you're the one losing. So my advice to better the situation or potentially become more successful because of other people, because I won't call them competitors, fellow photographers, is to support them. Support them. And I'm here right now because a photographer, my best friend, who's a phenomenal photographer, Corey Nichols, go find him, recommended me here. We both shoot celebrity things. We have similar things. So, like, if he saw me as a competitor, I wouldn't be here. So support other people. If they have questions, like, reach out, let other artists know. If you see something, Instagram's so beautiful. It's dangerous and slippery slope, but it's beautiful because I reach out to photographers constantly. If they post a photo and I love it, even if they have way too many followers that they'll never see my comment, most of the time they will. I'll reach out and say, hey, I saw this photo. I loved it. It moved me. It was amazing. I also see the rest of your portfolio and I realize that you're, like, working really hard, and I just want to, like, give you props because potentially you haven't heard that in a while, and I know that it, like, goes through. And not even that. I'm not doing it for your own validation. I'm doing it because it's honest and I mean it. Like, it's moments like that, like, I mean, just support other people. That's it. It's not a competition. Don't compete with anybody. Just support other people. Yeah, I mean, also, like, just realizing that, like, how lucky we're all lucky. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're all, like, we're in this industry that's so cool. We're all super lucky. Like, how beautiful is it that anybody would pay any of us for our vision? Like, what the heck? Because we see something a certain way, like. So the idea that anybody would pay for that is wild. So because somebody pays for their vision doesn't mean that yours is bad, It's like it's wild that anybody's, like, crazy. So
right,
not a competition. Yeah, open invitation as well. I don't know if this is making it in it, but if anybody has any questions, any advice, anything like that, reach out, because I'll give you my assistants' names, studio names, gear names, lighting setups, whatever you need to create your vision. Like, I'm there to support it. So anything anybody needs, for sure.
I wish there was more of you, Josh.
There are. There's incredible people.
We're finding them.
We are.
I learned this. I used to compete, and it was terrible. I learned this from Joseph. I learned this from Art Schreiber, and they've influenced so many people. 30, combined 50 years of working with people in this industry, interns and things like that, if they preach that same stuff. I know that everybody that comes from those trees, a lot of people that come from those trees of internships and stuff like that, like they're under the same thing. So I think some people just aren't as vocal about it, and the stress does get to it. I know that there's times where like I have lost a job to another person that I'm like, well, what the heck? What am I doing wrong? It's like, no. Like, he's just doing something so right. That's so cool. And so, but learning from those guys has been awesome. There's tons of people that see it the same way.
So Josh,
Yes.
how the heck do you maintain being an artist in this industry that's very commercialized?
Let's see. How do you maintain being an artist in the industry? Kind of hit on it a little earlier. I think, like, you just have to lose yourself in personal projects a lot. I mean, not everybody. I am shooting constantly. I walk around with all my film cameras all the time because I'm a geek. I like to do it. But that's how I maintain like the art in it, is like realizing that there's a project that has to be done, and then when I get off of it, I can literally go walk around and create art if I want to. Trying to find the artist moments in these commercial projects, you know what I mean? Connecting with people is an art. So whether it's a food stylist or a chef or anything of that nature, connecting with the rest of the crew and the talent and all that is like, there's art in that. You just got to find it. I mean, it could be a lot worse. We could be working in like cubicles all the time, you know what I mean? So like the fact that like any of this stuff happens is magic. And so if you don't appreciate the art in the fact that like, or in the idea that catering exists and that Crafty's there, like, and that somebody is like setting it up, like, I don't know, you just gotta maintain. Being an artist is about having a voice, and for me, about having a voice and showing people, especially visual artists, showing people what you see. To maintain that art, the voice goes past photos. You know, you gotta learn how you communicate with people. So every single shoot is a way to fine tune your art. And then do personal projects. And then when you do a personal project, it's a combination of all those things that you just learned on that last commercial job. Now you get to kind of do it your way.
What makes a shoot fulfilling to you? That's all I would actually say in that.
Yeah, and then I would put some spice on it and be like, where magic abounds.
Yeah, so
how do you make magic shoots?
A shoot, yeah.
No, that's a whole other thing.
A shoot is, there's a goal when you have a shoot, and a shoot is fulfilling or incredible or successful to me when, firstly, the client likes the photos. If the client's pumped and they approve them and everything's good and they go, great, it was great working with you. At the end of the day, that's base level, I'm happy. Because everything else could have gone great, but if the client wasn't happy at the end of it, then the shoot, for me, was disappointing.
Yeah.
So that's base. It's not the only important thing. Like, the client could be happy, and I could have hated the content that we were doing. A shoot that's fulfilling to me is something that says something. It's for a good cause, and it's focused around somebody that's a good person. The least fulfilling ones are the celebrity robots that we're just doing for press for nothing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, a fulfilling shoot is when there's a lot of good people involved, and we're all collaborating, trying to create something.
Yes.
I'm going to do an offshoot of there.
Yeah, you want to say magic again, don't you?
Yeah, that's my word. I'm just talking to people, artists specifically. Is there ever a shoot that you walk away from like, yes, that was perfect? Hey, do you ever walk away like, I absolutely perfection? Like, I feel good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give it like 2 hours though, because then you're gonna second guess everything that you ever did. That's a fluid thing, because you could have felt really great about a shoot, and then 3 years later you look at it and you go, oh, I would have done that completely different. Have I ever left a shoot feeling like completely fulfilled? That's exactly what I want to do. Yeah, I have, and I'm so happy with that. But I don't think that it's like a lot of credit to me. I think like I did a couple things, and the subject did a couple things, and the client allowed a little freedom here, and my assistants killed it, and like hopefully I didn't sweat so much, and like all these little things come together, and I don't think it's on the back of me. Like I've never left a shoot saying I did awesome. Never. No. But I have left shoots where I said that was exactly what I expected or better. Yeah, which is cool. It's always good to have. And I'm hoping to have that more often. I do love random surprises, but I'd rather them be like random good surprises.
Yeah. Where are we down? We are, if you could give advice to your younger self, what? No, I'm just kidding.
What
would you say?
Yeah.
So, but no, do you want to say younger self, or do we want to just talk about what advice would you give to like someone starting up?
Let's do both.
Let's do both.
Yeah.
Because I think it's both the same.
It's about the same
about
answer,
the same,
right?
right?
Yeah.
I think when you ask somebody what advice would you give to your younger self,
That's like,
it's saying like, what would you give to somebody?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can go very personal with that answer.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I would give myself so much advice. But advice to anybody that's like trying to get into it, I mean, don't let anybody kind of steer you away. If you're passionate about it, like invest. It's a huge thing. Like invest in yourself and like your own goals and passions and art, but really invest in like gear. I'll never understand, like I get contacted by musicians all the time that are like, hey, I need a new promo photo, or like I need an album cover. It's like, okay, great. Well, like this is the price for that. And they go, oh, but like I don't have the money for it. And it's like, you want me to invest in you, but you're not even investing in yourself. You know, so it doesn't work for everybody, and I understand circumstances are different and everything, but like over years I've invested by buying gear and purchasing new equipment and paying for film and all these things. Anything that like you're going to spend that money on something, let it be something that's going to improve and expedite your process. Other advice, communicate, because nothing's worse than something failing just because somebody had a little misunderstanding. I know it's crazy to think about, but jump on the phone. I'm super non-confrontational, very, very non-confrontational. So it's like I kind of almost get anxiety trying to send emails because I'm like, oh, is this going to be perceived weird or anything like that? Like, just jump on the phone. Phone calls are great because people then aren't guessing like, what? How did you mean this? You know exactly how you meant it because you're saying it. Ask a ton of questions. Invest in other people. If you're really trying to start and you haven't shot any celebrities or anything like that, or like you're not familiar with the studio or anything, assist. It's a cool, awesome job that you get to wipe your hands with at the end of the day, and you help someone create like really cool art on the day of. Not always. Sometimes it's not good. Sometimes it's terrible. Sometimes you have to be at El Matador on the beach for like 10 hours for a shoot that you care nothing about. But
burnt.
Yeah, just so sunburned. But the reality is that like being around this industry as much as you can, it's only going to improve. You know, you're only going to improve your own skills. And if you can assist or find a job on set, like if you're not shooting every day, like I would assist. I assist friend not often because it just doesn't like the schedules don't line up anymore. But like if the schedule lines up and I have a friend that needs an assistant, like I help them out because it's either I sit around that day or I go and we learn something new when it comes to how other people communicate with subjects or how light is. Like you're never going to know everything. So go help out other people and figure it out, especially if you were just now starting. I feel like some of the most successful photographers right now were assistants at some point.
Yeah.
Brian Bowen Smith was shit. Herb Ritz's assistant for a long time, I believe. And Sebastian Kim was Richard Avedon's assistant for a long time. And these guys are at the top of the game right now. And that's because they learned from somebody that was top of the game at that point. So it's like, I don't know, just suck up the pride a little bit.
Yep.
Also, the biggest piece of advice is have no ego, because none of this is important. It's important to us because we're passionate about it, and we're like dedicating our lives to like fine tuning this craft and this skill. But at the end of the day, it's a photo. You know what I mean? Like, we could live without it. I was on my way to a spec shoot with some meaningless role actor thing. Like, the guy was awesome. He was so nice, but like that sounds mean. He's not meaningless. He's a B-list, C-list actor maybe. And we were going to go do a spec shoot. The only reason why I say it's meaningless is because I was driving there, and it was in downtown LA, so I had to drive through Skid Row on San Julian, and my heart breaks every time I drive through there. That stuff's so important. And I'm driving, and I'm stopped at this red light, and I look over, and this woman, she's like kind of shuffling her feet. It looks like she's going through a hard time. You can imagine the things on Skid Row. She's wearing minimal clothing. She's sunbeaten. She looks hungry. She's, it's very, very jarring and sad situation to see. Even worse, she walks like a couple steps forward and leans over and grabs a styrofoam container off the ground in dirty downtown Skid Row, opens it up. There's like, I don't know what's in it, but some type of food. She like smells it and then shrugs and starts eating it while she walks. And I'm on my way to shoot a celebrity. Granted, it's another human and I want to invest in it, but it was hard. At that point, it was really hard because I realized how unimportant what we're doing in that moment is. In the grand scheme of things, it just was not. Yes. Did I care? Yes. Does he care? Yes. Is it going to help people in some way? It'll help a few people, and maybe more in some other way, but like, it's a luxury, and we get to do this awesome job. Like, we are truly fortunate and have a great opportunity to be able to be photographers. Yeah.
Nice. Is that the same advice you'd give your younger self?
My younger self, I would tell, I don't know, it'd probably more like pep talks to my younger self, because it's hard to say because I like where things are going right now. There's obviously little things that could happen here and there, but they're little pep talks like, hey man, this is going to be okay. Like, hey man, like, I know you're really nervous to send this estimate right now, but like, trust me, they have the money. Like, you'll be okay. Like, don't be so confident. I would for sure try to convince myself to not be as non-confrontational. Little things like I almost didn't take the internship with art, and that would have been a completely different path that I'd be on now. I don't know where I'd be, but like, it's almost more like encouragement at that point. My younger self, I would like whisper and be like, hey, like, just, I know you're going to do this and you're a little nervous about it. Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The younger self question is like, it's one of those things like you can't have any regrets because you're just like where you are because of all of it. Right. So as long as you can just have appreciation for the ups, downs, it's okay. But hopefully anybody can learn from like those mistakes, if there are mistakes happening. Like, I'm so thankful for Corey Nichols because he started photography in 2008, which was like, not necessarily started photography, but like started the industry in 2008 at the crash and like the recession. And he had to go through a lot of stuff, and he was so generous and so me starting a few years later, like I didn't have to go through those things because he had a blueprint for how to not have to worry about those things.
Yeah.
So reach out to people. Like, I'm so thankful for that kind of stuff. So same thing, like, if anybody's having a problem, just reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. I'll if I have an answer for you, I'll let you know. You know, hopefully we can save anybody the struggle, because it's already hard enough. Dealing with the vulnerability and the self-doubt and you know, we're all our own worst critics. You know, we look at somebody else's portfolio and think like, oh man, he's got it together. It's like, no, we don't. We all
none of us do.
And he's literally that guy's literally looking at somebody else going, why haven't I done this? You know, it's like nobody ever has it together. And I think that if we're like vocal about it, I just don't need that to be a reason why anybody fails, you know, because it's all in our own heads. Or that's something like a little bit more natural. If it's going to fail, don't let it be on a technical thing. If you have a question, just ask. We'll totally help you out. Give you a little critique, a little feedback, whatever.
Stop being so nice, Josh.
I can't. You can't stop me. Can't stop me. It's my only goal in life. It's my only goal.
It's a damn good goal.
Yeah.
I just like people, guys. It's so cool. Like, we have to do that. We didn't choose to do this. We didn't choose to be here, you know? So if we're going to be here, like, might as well, like, make it cool for everybody.
Yeah.
You know? And you feeling, like, fortunate on circumstances and stuff like that. Like, I know that some people are very not, you know? I grew up with both my parents in Southern California. Like, what the heck? Like, you know how many people don't have any sort of thing like that? Like, that's a luxury. And I realize that. And so, I don't know. You just got to help and support people, because there's a lot of people that didn't have that kind of luxury. Even that luxury. But a lot of people have a lot worse. People always ask, like they complain about something, and I tell them, I go, man, if some people have to like live in like shit basements in New York infested with like cockroaches and mice for years, making no money, working 2 jobs to maybe become an artist, and then you get to see like the end result of that, like, and then eventually you hear their struggle, and it's like, if my struggle is like an annoyance on set, like, that's awesome. Like, that's so fortunate, you know what I mean? Like, so just having that realization and being realistic with the fact that, like, if I have any knowledge and anybody else needs it, like, there's no sense in being stingy with it, because we're all going through little things here and there, or big things here and there, and let's just try to support.
Well, thank you, Josh, so much for being on the show today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This was a great conversation.
That was great.
You're inspired.
I loved it.
I don't know about you, but I feel super inspired.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah. So for others looking to find you, where can they find you?
Probably on the 405. Just sitting in traffic. Just look for me. I'm just in traffic all the time. I got my website and on Instagram and email. I mean, and reach out on all of them. Yeah. Because I'm a big responder. Yeah. You know, if you ask a question, I'm going to give you way too long of an answer. So.
And for people who are too shy, your Instagram is amazing. It always has like stories about what's going on, and communication is awesome. And I'm going to make sure to say your name right, but it's at Josh Tejas.
Tejas, yeah. Telles. Tejas. It's Spanish, guys. I know.
Go find Josh.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Till next time. Thank you so much for joining us. It wouldn't be YouTube if we weren't shamelessly asking you to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Also, comment down below of who you want to see us interview, what you want to learn, and also the most important, where to get the best tacos in your town is.
Because we love tacos.
Tacos are good. Bye.